Okay, today is 5G, 4G, Wi-Fi, electromagnetic frequencies, electromagnetic pollution, ultrasound, no, infrasound, and other pollutants in the environment. So the 5G that everyone's talking about has not happened yet. Everybody's pretending it's happened. I guess there's some areas which have tried to do small rollout, trials and, but as a general rule, it hasn't happened yet. And you would probably know when it does because they would be, mini towers, like, small little metal poles with a strange little head on them, kind of popping up on every other block, like probably even more dense than every block, like maybe every 5 or 6 houses. I mean, I haven't calculated it exactly, but you would be seeing this. And the nature of waves is that they can't hide these towers because that's the nature of the wave, is that it has to be, it's trying to to um, output its signal, so it can't be hidden. I mean, hidden in a way which is totally, you know, hidden. So they won't be hidden. They might have a little, like disguise, or maybe they'll set up some. But I mean, in general, these things will be visible to us by the nature of them needing to be used. They will have to be visible to be operable. Um, so they're not going to be hidden underground, for example. You know what I mean? Like so. Um, these little mini towers will be everywhere when it does roll out finally. So they're just trying to prepare us for it. I think it's a bad move, and I'm hoping that that the government wises up before they start to roll this out fully. And it is possible because I have seen the government pretending to be pro 5G and stuff, and I understand that they need to push that commercial angle and also thwart the competition of China, who's trying to develop those same models. So, but then how we end up applying that can be totally different, because 5G doesn't have to be applied in that way. This whole like scalar grid that we create that control all of humanity and everybody baking in this grid, this microwave that they're building, like that's not the way to do it. There's a way to do these things of high power, greater signal to your computer, fiber optic slash hub slash there's hub to fiber, transmitted to hub through Wi-Fi. Like there's combinations which can work of this technology where we have to learn to master the sword and master the technology instead of just like, hey, let's just throw waves all over the totality of Earth and then just send our emails and stuff and be much happier about it. And so there's abuse there. So one of the best ways, the problem with 5G is that you can't really protect yourself from it. I was going to say one of the best ways to protect yourself, but this is more concerning the 4G technologies that are already here, and even the towers that are already here. The 5Gs may not be able to be, we may not be able to protect ourselves from them to a certain degree, depending on their proximity. Not only because of the electromagnetic field, caused by their own electricity and the depth that they can push that, and you being so close to that, but even the radio frequency that they're pushing can be so close and so intense, and then at such a high frequency that it's possible it could pass through what we usually use to stop magnetic waves, which would be the principle of reflection and bouncing the signals back, and electrical grid, and even fabrics that are woven with silver and things that they make a grid, and then the grid reflects that back, right? So that principle may be harder to control with the magnetic features, because the magnetic pulsing and pushing of the electrical current underneath at such a close proximity um, can make it harder to stop those waves, because those magnetic waves are not stopped through reflection. They're stopped through, I forget the scientific word, but you have to convince basically the wave to go around your installation, by giving it a channel, which a certain type of material, or nickel, copper, certain type of material which is going to it's going to choose to go around where you exactly are in your room or whatever, but you can't stop those magnetic waves. They will make their path, period. They can just be kind of, convinced to go elsewhere, to go around by following their principles of how they move. And so that type of reality is even more intense as far. I mean, it's doable. There's probably a way to create safety, but you got your work cut out for you. And so people just be moving to different parts of the country or whatever. But so the way to do it for now, at least in this world that we're in, and this works very effectively for radio frequencies, and probably will work even in the future. But we may have to add new levels. Is to buy a bed canopy. So it's like $1,000. It'll last you 20 years. It's a good investment, and they're made with silver, maybe 2%, or is it 20%? I think it's 10 to 20%, 2%. I don't know. I don't think the percentage is important. I think it's the fact that they're tested, and you need to buy a tester. I bought like a tri-field meter. They're only $200, but they're the best one you can probably use in a practical, layman, easy type of way. And so this fabric you put over your bed and build around it, or you don't even have to build it. You just have to hang it. It's very simple. But that will keep 90% of the waves out when you're sleeping. And you can test this through the meters and everything. And so that's the first investment. The second was maybe, there's stuff you could do with the wall. There's paint that you can use, like 3 layers of a certain type of paint, which will help block out signals if you have smart meters on the back wall, things like that. Smart meters coming from, these new meters that they plug in everywhere that are actively sending signals all the time, and hardly any of that signal is the signal you need to send back to the base to tell them what your electricity is. Not at all. That's just a ridiculous hype. I mean, we've had that technology since the 30s, and that's just a 9-volt battery. You could cover that for a couple of years. That type of signal. But they're not doing that. They want mains power, staccato, crazy signals coming from these smart meters. So they're not in the same category. Those can be blocked too. You can buy smart meter guards, which will stick to the front of these smart meters, and then they will also block the back of them. So if you're on the back side, you're like, well, what happens to the other side, even though I put this on the front? It does both. 90% reduction on both sides, because it grounds the signal through the mains power metallic box that the piece touches, the smart meter guard touches. So there's a grounding effect and a blocking of the waves on the front side, and then on the back side, the grounding. So this has all been tested. You can see it done online, videos if you want, or buy the meters yourselves. So those are some areas to clean up the bedroom. You also, one of the other things I think is important for everyone is to use the electromagnetic shielding underwear, for your sperm, for libido even. Like my erections increased substantially when I started wearing these daily. And I will tell you one thing, I've had to stay on top of it, meaning I've had to measure these underwear over time to figure out when they break down, when it's not working anymore, and stuff like that through washing them. I mean, you're supposed to wash them with a certain type of detergent, not even detergent, but a liquid soap that they give you, that you can order for that. But even then, I mean, it's like you have to watch them, so they'll break down after a certain time. And so anyway, you can also do like a layer of underwear, like a normal organic pair of underwear, like briefs, and then you could put these on top of that, and then that would keep you from having to wash very often this second pair, the more expensive pair, and you could wear them, for a month probably at a stretch without having to wash this second layer, which is good. It kind of slows that down, and you just wash the inner underwear, which is the only one that's getting dirty anyway. I mean, of course, in order to do that, you do have to take off your underwear and put other, sports underwear if you're going to go do sweating and sports and hiking and stuff. So you do have to be smart to keep this cleanliness. but it can be done, and it can be done well. And you can say, because otherwise you're spending a lot of money on underwear, and it gets kind of crazy. And so you just have to do these right. But it's powerful. The benefits you get from it are much more. I mean, if you spent $300 a year on this, and I mean, think about how, I mean, not even if you spend 150 a year on it, like, you know, there's people spending way more than that on erection pills. You know what I mean? So you have to put these things into perspective. So taking these, let's see, if we're using that, then we have pretty much everything covered. There's other people who like to use, everything from scarves. I think the belly blanket is a really good idea for the car if you drive a lot in traffic, and all these huge antenna towers are built on the freeways, especially. And, putting that there. Also, if you're pregnant, definitely buy a band that goes around the stomach, and then wear that all the time underneath your clothing. Or even, in the car, have that blanket that does that. And you can even maybe, if you need to, because we're still at the beginning of these technologies, you can even create a pillowcase for that blanket, so you never have to wash that blanket, and you just are washing the pillowcase on top of it. So that way your car always has something that can protect you while you're in there. So there's a few things that you can use like that, hats and different things, but a lot of it's very powerful, very effective, and there's a lot of dangers. There's a lot of studies now talking in Israel and other places about the distance that you have to be from these towers to not have cancers start within year 1 for some people, and then year 3 for others, and then up to year 8, like high percentages of the people. So like some of these things kill you very slowly, but what they do is, and this is one of the keys to the Wi-Fi. I mean, of course, you're always going to want to turn off your Wi-Fi. You never even want to have Wi-Fi. I cable everything. I don't even use the Wi-Fi. And get unlimited on your phone. Stop using the free stuff. That's where that free stuff is costing you, your health. So get unlimited on your phone, and then turn off everything else. And, if you need to talk on the phone, get a landline. They're cheap, and go back a little bit, step back, and master this stuff. My home, because of the landline, because of the cable routed printer, the cable routed computer, and everything else, it's a safe space, so build it right. Don't, try to keep up with the Joneses and be all like, we have everything so Wi-Fi, it's amazing. We can, let that go, and use the cable. You can plug a USB cable with a Ethernet adapter to it into any iPad or whatever, and you can use it that way. Use it on Wi-Fi when you have to, maybe when you travel or something, but keep your home safe. So, yeah, once you have these levels covered, you'll start to sleep better. And here's the deal, is you won't notice what's happening to you. It can be 3 or 4 years that you're living in a certain condition before, like a bad condition, even with like towers and things, like you're non-detected. I mean, here's the rule. If it's more than 0.23 miles, maybe 0.28 miles, let's say 0.28 miles. If it's more than 0.28 miles, less than 0.28 miles from you, a tower, like a real tower, you need to move. Or you need to protect yourself in the way that I've mentioned, because that means you're within a very close range of that tower. And so if you're outside of that range, you're fine. Maybe if you're within a few points of that, it's okay too. But in general, this is the range. And and this is based on studies that I found over the years, a couple of studies that actually pointed out the range of danger, and I calculated that for myself, and so you can use that. And you can find this stuff online, like antennasearch.com, and there's places that will track and hopefully track the unregistered, because not just the registered, they need to track unregistered towers too. Because half of the towers are unregistered, or maybe not half, but there's a lot that are unregistered. And so, do this and figure out where you're placed, and if your wall is in the line of fire, then that whole wall has to be protected with the paint, with the ripstop layer, or whatever it is that you have to put up. And if it's 2 walls and you're in 2 angles coming from that, then you need to protect the entire wall of both of those. Now, you can't stop perfectly your neighbors from having Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. You could put notes on their door and tell them about the dangers of it and sleep and beauty sleep and a lot of things. Maybe they'll listen, but that's how we build consciousness. But you can protect yourself through the canopy and everything else because those things will not be hitting you when you sleep. And it's funny. I've built this one room that's just amazingly safe on my meter. It's just, and it looks amazing. Nothing looks weird or unintegrated. Like it looks like a beautiful room. Like it's an elegant kind of net that goes around on the bed. It looks elegant. It also protects you from bugs, mosquitoes, spiders, ticks, anything else that could drag into the house. They can't get to you. So it's a smart move for many reasons. And So, and then everything else looks totally integrated too. You can buy curtains. There's just a lot of ways you can do it. So get that covered, get that covered and start sleeping better. The key mystery behind a lot of these waves is deep sleep destruction. So what they're doing is it's destroying your deep sleep. So you don't notice this over time. It could take you a long time to realize the deep sleep is being destroyed. Infrasound, which comes from windmill, like solar farm, well, wind farm installations, or even certain types of machinery, even towers. Infrasound you will pick up on, and this can destroy your sleep, and you can notice it more because it's somewhat audible. Sometimes you have to put earplugs in, or even clamp, put earplugs in to be able to hear the sound, which is strange. But so some of this infrasound you will notice, but a lot of this, the waves, electromagnetic waves, you won't notice, and electrical and everything else that goes along with it. So if you're on the ground floor, that's better because you can ground yourself by being on the ground floor with your feet on the ground. If your floor is really on the ground, like even if it's 3 inches up above the ground and built onto, you may not be grounded anyway. But to be grounded is interesting as far as electrical field, not just electromagnetic, but just the electrical field. This is important. And so if you're not, then you can usually find a plug in your house, usually an appliance type of plug or something that's grounded. And you can run a cable from there and you can connect that cable to your canopy. A lot of canopies will come with a ground cable. And so what that does is that keeps your canopy from becoming an antenna for electrical signal because it does have the metal running through it. And so that pushes that back down out to the ground, and so that covers that. So, or you can ground, where you sit on your computer, you can ground your computer itself through a USB grounded cable. And so anyway, the goal is to reduce a lot of this electrical field and then also the electromagnetic field. But the electromagnetic field will destroy your deep sleep over time. It may take 5 to 10 years, but it will be taking it away and you won't be noticing it, but you might if you're paying attention. But some people don't notice it. They just think that it's this, that, or the other, or they just don't notice that everybody's kind of like looking a little bit zombie-like. I mean, in California, I've never seen people more zombie-like in my life. Like people, not only the facial structures, but the color of the skin, everything. I'm not seeing the stars that people are seeing on TV. I'm seeing a lot of people suffering from stuff they don't know is in their air, in the waves, in the environment, in the water. They're suffering from lack of things in the food, from everything being of quality being frozen in California to where you can only find defrosted versions of everything that are decent. And it's just, and chicken, you can't even find chicken in California that's not soy fed. It's impossible. So there's a lot of work to be done here. And if you do find it, it's like 50 or 60 bucks a bird because they know, the demand. And so once your deep sleep starts getting affected, then cancer and everything else starts to happen because anything that destroys the deep sleep is going to destroy everything, not only the look and the beauty sleep and the eyes and the look in your eyes, your face, everything, like, I mean, the endocrine disruptors play a role in all that too. The body shapes and the sport mania they have here, like everybody's like exercising every 5 minutes with no ass and no shape to their body already. And I'm like, God, what happened to these people? They're trying their best to get rid of something that's already destroying them, and it's coming through food and air and water. So I'm trying to help people see that this level of intensity that I'm coming from about these things is the right level. It's not that I'm just crazy and I should just like accept a little bit of cancer and just be like everyone else. It's like someone has to be out there pining this so that in the future we can wake up to the fact that this is the level we needed to be at. We needed to be paying attention at this level. And then these things consciously would not be happening to us because the consciousness would be there. So this is what's forcing us to become conscious is the law and the breaking of the law, or whatever you want to call it, so we have to find our own way. We have to cross through what looks like absurd territory to, conspiracy, and we got to go into many different areas, from alt-right to alt-left to, it doesn't matter which side you're on. You have to figure out where the truth is. And there is truth on all those areas, but you just have to sift it out. I've seen plenty of Democrats and who hate vaccines just as much as Republicans who hate vaccines. So you just have to go figure out where the truth is, And so once you cleaned up that and your deep sleep has come back, then you've gained a lot. And so then you can go on to clean the rest of the environment. And I also recommend pretty much in all the podcasts, the threefold remedy, which is a K2. K2 is one of the most important vitamins out there. And you have to find it in its right form. The French have understood this through foie gras, which is illegal in California and New York, which is crazy. But and this has nothing to do with animal cruelty. It doesn't. Like, the reason these things are being outlawed looks like it's coming from there, but it's coming from a deeper place. They know the vitamin deficiency is real, and they know that people can't find that vitamin otherwise. So they're outlawing these things to stop us from being able to find health. So this vitamin K2 comes through emu oil. You can order the emu oil from a brand called Walkabout, and you just sip it. You don't buy capsules. You sip it, teaspoon a day. Combine that with fermented cod liver oil, teaspoon a day, and then do not regular cod liver oil, fermented only. There's only one brand out there for these things. They're sacred. You can't find them in stores. And then also use magnesium, the transdermal magnesium from Zechstein Inside in glass bottles on our site, theheartoftradition.com. So these three remedies, body, soul, and spirit, these are helping to get the body back out of deficiency. And until you get out of deficiency, you can't troubleshoot the rest of it. So the better that you clean your environment, the more you're able to troubleshoot, help others. And if a lot of people aren't ready for this type of consciousness, then you can at least, because you have enough knowledge, you can at least put something in front of their path which they can be ready for, which can help them move forward based on the fact that you have walked the whole path. So that is a healing and sheltering way to be with your friends, and a way to sacrifice yourself for them, and probably all the initiatory pain that you've had to go through to figure out a lot of these things through your own body healing and your own pain. Then that sacrifice you made to find these truths can then be revealed to others without as much reinventing of the wheel, which is another way that we can harm each other on earth, is to keep having to reinvent the same thing over and over and not use common wisdom and experience to help each other. So hopefully that can be of help to someone. Check out the rest of our podcast. There's a lot of stuff out there, and we also have books, The Mysteries of Nutrition, The Mystery of the Heart. These two books can be found on Amazon by searching their title. Thank you.